If you're a soprano, you may struggle with the really low pitches, which do happen sometimes. And today I want to talk about how to approach these. Hi, and welcome to today's video. In case you don't know me yet, my name is Freya Casey. I'm a professional singer and vocal coach. I have sung professionally in opera and then started doing other things, but I want to share with you the challenges and how to solve this challenge as a soprano singing low. So for example, let's just take De vieni non tardar. There's this finché non splende in cielo torna face. We go all the way down to an A3, which is crazy low for a soubrette in this case. So any soprano that has to go below, especially below the middle C, it becomes a challenge. And basically you cannot stay in head voice anymore. When you want to have power in your voice and still project, you're going to have to transition into your chest mechanism. But it is so different from approaching it from a pop standpoint. We need tall space. Let's just look how this head voice connects to chest voice. So I have tall space, very tall space. The larynx, there's this tilt happening that's giving me this head voice approach. And then as I'm taking it lower, what can I do? Basically what happens technically is like your vocal cords shorten as you go down, which they have to in order to create lower frequencies. And you have to come out of that laryngeal tilt at some point because it's just not feasible anymore. It's not doable. Anatomically, it's not doable. If I try to keep the laryngeal tilt, it's basically you can't really do it. And what happens a lot if you keep your head voice too long going down, then you only really can do this by really lowering your larynx and making your voice very dark. And it doesn't sound consistent. For example, a soubrette has a brighter, lighter voice color, and you don't want to suddenly like, I am so sparkly. And no, it's like you don't want to suddenly sound like someone else. You are not suddenly a dramatic soprano or something. So how do we bridge this gap? So let's just go down and kind of go step by step. So in my voice, probably anything below D or C. Like I want to start transitioning into my chest voice. So this is quite low, but I can still sustain it in head voice. Now the trick is to not start darkening your head voice. You want to try to keep it bright and forward, and it's almost like you want to lift. You don't want to cover anything. So, hello, hello. I try to keep the brightness and overtones in here. Let's take it a half step lower, or like a half step lower. I could still sustain this brightness without darkening too much. Now it's getting really hard. This is getting hard. This is really getting hard. I could still, by kind of lifting here a bit, I can still try to keep that brightness going. But from now on, it's really hard to keep the head voice going. So now what we do, instead of I'm still in head voice and bright, and now we don't want to get heavy. What you want to do is try to keep your larynx relaxed while keeping that tall space in that pharyngeal area, that back of your throat, like lifting that soft palate and what's right behind there. You want to keep it as tall as possible. You want to keep that tall space there that you have when you're singing in head voice, but now in connecting with your chest voice, you don't want to suddenly just let it flip and that tilt come out of that suddenly. I'm still in head voice and now I'm in chest voice. So I'm trying to brighten that up as much as I can. This is really dark and leaning against the vocal cords. So basically what you're trying to do, it's almost like, try to think of a very kind sound. It's like, this is not kind. It's almost like, no, but you want to be kind. It's like, yes, I'm kind, and I want to keep in mind how I sounded in head voice. See how I'm like trying to keep that sound consistent. You have to experiment with it. There's no better way to find out than to experiment. So you can go from, this is very much leaning against the vocal cords and dark. It's way too dark. See, this is not how I would speak. Or I could speak like this, a very kind and tall space. Okay, so this is la la la. La la. I mean, I don't know when I would have to go to a G. I haven't encountered that, but A, tons of A's, tons of A3s in Mozart and other repertoire. So the A is like very, very usual. Now, as someone who has a heavier lower voice type, so if you are a true contralto, your transition point will naturally be a bit lower. Even if you're a mezzo soprano, you might still be able to take your head voice slightly lower than I can, because your entire range just sits, it's shifted down just a little bit overall. So, I can go high easily. And for you, what's high for you as a mezzo or as a contralto is different than what's high for me. It's because it's a voice type. And don't compare yourself with other voice types. You have to compare yourself with others who have similar anatomy, like vocal cords, right? So again, thinking on trying to keep the brightness, splendente notturna face. So I'm nottur. That's on the C. I definitely have to transition into my chest voice. Practice the transitions. So you could do exercises like, so mia, 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 mi. That was kind of rough. That's really hard. It's like mia, 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 mi. So try not to be too heavy on the lower end. Usually when you have to do these low notes, the composition is usually written in a way to where the orchestra or whoever's accompanying you is accommodating you, because you don't have that power on that low end that you do. Then you do when you go, ah! I mean, the high pitches automatically just come through very easily. And the low end, you just can't dig in as much, because otherwise it sounds just like, oh, it's just not beautiful. Also, it'll kill you if you dig in too much. So you want to keep that brightness, that tall space in there. So mia, 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 mi, miss, dark and heavy, mi, tall space, yes, but I'm trying to still kind of get this head resonance going somehow. I can't get much of it, but I'm trying to still keep as much of it as possible. If you're interested in just like all insights that have to do with singing, you may want to subscribe to my free newsletter that I send out every single Sunday. It's called Pitch Perfect Insights, and I share anything about singers that you may love or know, or that I love or know, anything that comes to my mind, like stories from my past, and I just share anything that has to do with singing. So you can subscribe to that newsletter, and I will put the link below. Until next time, always keep a song in your heart and always keep on singing.